Welcome back to Stab the Dragon Productions for episode number 64 and whiskey review number 36. Tonight we shall review Ironroot Republic Harbinger XC Straight Bourbon. Here at Stab the Dragon, I'm reviewing some North Texas whiskeys primarily. Now, around the patriotic holidays or key points in history, I've reviewed some patriotic or military whiskeys. And in the future, I am planning to do a double elimination whiskey tournament of Texas whiskeys. Stab the Dragon also does some social, cultural, political commentary, Bible studies, book reviews, movie reviews, etc. It's all about life, folks. What interests me? Right now, Ironroot interests me. So first, the fast facts. Ironroot Republic Distillery, founded in Denison, Texas in 2014 by the Licorice family, Robert, Jonathan, and their mom, Marcia. One of their distinctives is that they utilize some skills or processes they learned from the French brandy industry in their distilling. Today's bottle is a 750 milliliter bottle of 90 proof straight bourbon, aged for 32 months. $42.99 is the price at Total Wine. I think I paid a little bit more than that at Specs. Tasting notes. I say it's mildly sweet, corn. I get some of the Texas funk, which is the char and oak flavors burned in by the Texas heat. You either love that or hate it. I love it. There's some cinnamon candy to it, definitely. The sweet is not like honey. It's more like molasses or perhaps brown sugar. It's a touch of the bittersweet with that Texas char blending in. There is some fruity things going on in the background, but to me it's the corn and the barrel char, that Texas funk, and the cinnamon that are dominant for me. On my score scale, I give it a 90, letter grade of a solid A. My recommendation. When I first opened this bottle, I have to admit I was a little bit disappointed in the neck pour, but I never judge a whiskey by the neck pour. Sure enough, the second pour a few days later was much better. And then the pour that I did last night as I prepared for this review today was fantastic. So I give this Harbinger XC my highest recommendations. It's a must-have if you're going through Texas whiskeys. Beware though, that Texas funk is not for everyone. Texas whiskeys are different from Kentucky whiskeys, okay? So if they're exposed to the heat in Texas, they're going to have that Texas funk. But when this bottle's gone, I will definitely seek to get another, and I definitely also want to get the higher proof version of Harbinger as well. Now let's go into the details. History. This distillery from Denison, Texas, north of Dallas and south of Oklahoma on Highway 75, was named for the grapefruits that T.V. Munson, 1843 to 1913, of Denison, he developed these grapefruits that helped France recover from several years of loss of millions of acres of grapes due to disease and pests. Munson was a horticulturist. He was an extraordinary person. He was the go-to guy for grapes in America during the late 19th century. And so he helped France and really all of Europe, but particularly the Cognac region, through this very difficult time. And so Denison, Texas, and city there in Cognac, they've become sister cities or something like that. For this achievement that he made, France actually came to Denison, Texas in the late 19th century and presented Munson with the French Legion of Honor. And then he was a very well-educated guy. He had a master's degree in the University of Kentucky. He was working on his doctorate. He had previously got his master's there at Kentucky, but they presented him with an honorary doctorate for his work here. In 2011, Robert Licorice was about to graduate from St. Louis University Law School and announced to his family after 3 years of law school, "I don't want to be a lawyer. I want to be a whiskey distiller." There you go. Why not? Career change before you even start. His brother Jonathan was a biomedical engineer and joined up with him, along with their mother Marcia, who was a recently retired teacher. And after traveling throughout the country, examining distilleries, going overseas, He obtained an intern position at Balcones in Waco, Texas. They finally decided to plant themselves in Denison because it was one of the few wet counties close to the Metroplex in the area that would allow the sale of alcohol. And so the Ironroot Republic Distillery was born in 2014. The distillery began winning awards left and right, with the 2020 World Whiskey Awards, Harbinger 115, which is the big brother of the one we're looking at today. Best Bourbon in the World 2020. The first non-Kentucky bourbon to win this coveted prize. In 2021, the Ironroot Republic won Best Distillery of the Year by the American Distilling Institute. Fantastic. Really, this list of awards for the distillery and its whiskeys is pretty long and amazing. Several of their other whiskeys have won things too. So this 90 proof Harbinger, as far as I could tell, has not won anything, but it is the little brother of the 115. So as part of the name Ironroot Republic, that Republic part came from Texas history, of course. When Texas had seceded from Mexico, they formed a republic, an independent nation from 1836 to 1845. Yes, we are the only state in the Union that once was an independent nation. So for history, 5 out of 5 points. Marketing and packaging, bottle. Well, I've not seen any billboards for Ironroot. I have seen a ton of news articles and book reviews of the whiskey. They're everywhere. When you go to their website, they have a different kind of bottle than what I see in the stores. I've actually never seen one of those. These are the only kinds of bottles of Ironroot stuff that I've found in the stores. But on their website, it's kind of a flattened, almost like Angel's Envy. Okay, very, very similar style bottle. Okay, the label here is reasonably cool. It's got this nice little kind of embossed R there, and I've heard that on the full strength Harbinger, it's maybe a metal embossed R. So, you know, it's got a little bit of hoo-ha stuff on the back, but otherwise it's a nice looking label and nice looking bottle. I like this thing that goes over the cap here. That's pretty nice. Then it says, you know, certified Texas whiskey in silver right there. So really, for marketing, packaging, and bottle, 5 out of 5. Composition. The Ironroot website lists all the grains that go into this bourbon, but not the percentages. It has purple corn, bloody butcher corn, flint corn, non-GMO yellow dent corn, and rye. This is a fascinating list. All those heirloom non-GMO corn grains from local farms in Texas and Oklahoma. I watched one review from 2019 by a reviewer that I really like and trust. He's outstanding, but he gave a mash bill for Harbinger that contradicted what the website says. He said that it was 100% corn, and that's, as far as I can tell from the website, that's not accurate. The bottle is 22A edition, is what it says. And it's aged for 32 months, 750 milliliters. So it's got all that information on there, 90 proof, 45% ABV. Composition, 14 of 15 points. Physical appearance of this whiskey. In the glass, there you go. This is a fairly dark whiskey, and it's got a red copper tinge to it that's very pronounced. You can see it here in the bottle as well, how dark that is, and that reddish tint to it. So that's really one of my favorite appearances for a whiskey. I'm going to say 5 out of 5 for that dark red color. The nose. With my very inadequate nose, bourbons I usually can't smell much at all. This, I'm getting a little bit of sweetness, a little bit of the corn, so I'm actually able to smell a little something here, but not much. Scotches and ryes work better with my nose. This Harbinger XC, you know, maybe a little bit of a fruity, faint sweet, possibly apple. The website says maple syrup and orange marmalade. Okay, whatever. I get maple syrup from Canadian whiskeys. My sweet here is more along the lines of brown sugar, maybe. You know, if you stick your nose in a brown sugar bag, something like that, maybe. The review at one site I saw said big, red, juicy fruits start off the nose, and vanilla and cherry cola, sweet pears, apples, lots of grape, bubble gum, sandalwood, funky nose. Wow. If you can smell all that, power to you. 7 out of 10 on the nose. Taste. The website says sweet cinnamon candy. That's all it says on the website for taste. One review site said dark fruits, molasses, strong wood tannins, caramel, and kettle corn. I get the corn, mildly sweet. Molasses, I can go with that. Texas funk. Yeah, Texas funk is the char and the oak flavor that's burned in by the Texas heat. It's very pronounced in Texas whiskeys. If you've never had a Texas whiskey, now it has to be aged in a non-climate controlled warehouse. If your warehouse is climate controlled, then it's not going to have the Texas funk. But with the Texas funk, you either love it or hate it. I love it. Now there is some cinnamon candy here, definitely. The sweet mixes well with the bitter tannins, the wood flavor. A little bit of fruit maybe in the background. I couldn't really identify it, but yeah, there's a fruity candy element to it. But mainly the corn, the barrel char are dominant for me. So this is, man, for 90 proof, I mean, this is just full of flavor. 23 out of 25 for the taste. Mouthfeel and finish. To me, it's real smooth. I'm not getting any ethanol. Slight mouth tingle. Just a little bit going up in my sinuses and a little bit going down. But it punches right on target for a 90 proof. The finish is medium, just a slight burn going down, just a little bit. The cinnamon and the Texas funk do linger. This is really a medium long finish, medium mouth feel. It's not thin at all. It's not light, but it's not as creamy as some other 90 proofs that I've had. Not really buttery. This is a bold in your face kind of a flavor. It's a punch in the taste buds that's a very pleasant punch for a 90 proof. So mouthfeel and finish, I'm going to go with 13 of 15 points. Price, value, and availability. Yeah, and Total Wine had it for $42.99. Specs website says they don't have it, but guess what? I bought mine at Specs, right there. Got it at Specs. And I think I paid about $43, $44. Okay, a little bit more than Total Wine. Goody Goody won the prize here. They've got it listed on their website for $40.99, but it says not available. Okay, and I've never seen it at Goody Goody, so I'm just really disappointed in liquor store websites in my area. Total Wine has the best website, but Specs is the worst, and Goody Goody's pretty questionable. And so much of the stuff they list, they just don't have. Never, ever seen it. Okay. Liquor store websites that are just notoriously bad. Availability is always a problem with Ironroot. Doesn't matter which variety. I mean, anytime I see an Ironroot, I'll buy it. And that's a rare thing. I've got 4 different bottles of Ironroot that I've been working on for at least a year and a half. It's because I hardly ever see it. Once I was in Specs and there was some Ironroot, I don't remember which variety, and I passed it by. And it's like, oh, I went back a day later and they're all gone. So, okay. But this is really big Texas flavor, I think, for a just price. Okay. Such high demand. I mean, there's always issues with availability. So only 8 out of 10 because they just struggle to keep up with demand. I don't know what to say about that. And people outside of Texas, who knows? I don't know if you can find it or not. So price, value, and availability, 8 out of 10. Is this neat or a mixer? It is fantastic neat, definitely. But this would hold up good in a cocktail. I'd almost hate to do that in a cocktail, though. I mean, this is so good. So this is what I've only done a couple of cocktails in my life. I mean, I'm just not a cocktail drinker, but I'm edging into that, right? So I can see this in an old fashioned doing quite well, because the only other whiskey I've done in an old fashioned was the Acre Long-Haired Gem Bourbon, and that's 88 proof, and it's got some Texas funk to it, and boy, that was magnificent in the old fashioned. So I can imagine that this would go well, neat or mixed. Okay, it's not so strong as a 90 proof that you should be afraid of drinking it neat, but this would go great in a cocktail. So 5 out of 5. Bonus points. Well, of course, I'm going to give it 5 points because big flavor, great history, good story, local to me in North Texas, and it's just plain delicious. So yeah, 5 out of 5 points for the Ironroot Harbinger XC. Letter grade, A. My letter grades are always a little bit higher than my point scoring. Recommendation: if you are drinking your way through Texas whiskeys, Ironroot Republic is one of the top 3 distilleries you have to sample. The other 2 top 3 being Garrison Brothers, which I've never had. They're too expensive. And Balcones, which I've got like 5 of their bottles, right? So really, those are the 3 top distilleries in my book in Texas. And one of those I just can't afford. So this Harbinger XC edition at 90 proof, if you're not a proof hound, then this is where you should go. If you're a proof hound, then yeah, you're going to want the 115 version probably. And granted, it's probably going to have more flavor. I get that. And the 115 version has won a lot of prizes. But this 90 proof, man, I like a good 90 proof. Okay, and I like some things that are high proof as well. But if you get so used to drinking the high proof stuff, then you're just disappointed in the lower proof. And I don't want to reach that stage. I want to be able to appreciate lower proof whiskeys too. Gotta admit, when I first opened this bottle, I was a little bit disappointed because a couple of things. A, it was the neck pour. Me and neck pours just have a history. We don't like each other, okay? But B, the other Ironroot products that I've had have been high proof. And so I had that in my memory bank, and then I go down to this 90 proof, and yeah, it was disappointing at first. But the second pour a couple of days later was fantastic, and so on down the way. So really, I give this Harbinger XC my highest recommendation. It's a must-have. Beware though, the Texas funk is not for everyone. So when I finish this bottle, I can definitely see getting another one. And if I can find it, I'm going to get that 115. Happy hunting. Conclusion: this is an outstanding bourbon, representing Texas very well. Very well. In the Texas Whiskey Tournament that I'm planning for this winter, I'm going to have to say that this Harbinger is going to be a favorite to win. I think so. It's going to be tough to beat out TX bourbon, okay? And then the Acre Long-Haired Gem, that's going to be a tough one. Trinity River Distilling, Silver Star, 1849, that bourbon, yeah, that's going to be a competitor as well. So we got lots of good, Tabacaro, man, it's going to be a heck of a tournament later this year. All right. Well, that's all for this episode of Stab the Dragon. Remember to be safe. If you're drinking, don't be a driving. Out here.